Well, hello you filthy lot, and welcome to another slightly incompetent Esteben and Simon show for the Caterham Kings. We're off to the old Sayonara Street for Japan for round 15 of 19 of the 2013 season. As ever, I'm never alone. We've got Esteben.
Good morning, Kimusabi.
Kamikaze, more like. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing very well. Today is my 4-year anniversary, so I'm spending it with those most important to me. That's why we're doing this.
And she's in another room.
She's in a room watching TV. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see that you've got the priorities right. So, boo.
Well, I could get fired any day now, so it's good to get the races out of the way before Caterham realise what's going on.
Exactly. If we can just quickly finish the season under their noses, we'll be fine. So yeah, should we dive on in? Because there's going to be plenty to talk about actually for once.
Yeah, lots of news, and because we filmed these so far apart, actually having news is good. It saves me repeating myself, which I've been watching us back recently, and my God, I repeat myself a lot. I'm sorry, everybody, I really am. Just sometimes we go like 3 or 4 weeks between filming these things, and then I forget I've brought a point up, and I actually make like a handful of notes before I jump on here with you, Si, and
God, that's professional.
well, it's just because, you know, I don't like to leave dead air, as it were. Oh, it's raining. That's always delightful. It's intermediate rain though, so...
Okay, just a drizzle. Just sniffle. I'd like to say that I'm racing today with an injury to my knee, which is not going to cause me any help at all because of how I sit when I'm playing stuff. But I'd like to share how I managed to injure myself.
Yeah, please do.
I was cooking lasagna last night, and I thought because I'll amuse myself, I decided to arrange the cheese on top in swear words. And then when it came out the other side, I was laughing so much to myself, I forgot that I'd left my cupboard door open where I'd put some pepper on. So when I put down the lasagna and got back up again, smacked my head on that, and then went out and smacked my knee on the oven door, and now my knee is twice the size of my other one. And it fucking kills. So I've learnt the lesson, swearing, cooking is not good ideas.
I once did something to my kneecap in a very similar situation. I was working in a warehouse, and me and another lad had hidden a mackerel in someone's overalls behind a radiator, and I was laughing so hard at how hilarious we were that I walked into a door frame and smacked my knee in. So I think there's a lesson to be learned from both of these injuries.
Yeah, we're just doomed, I think. Well, I've gone for 1 click to the left on the setup because it's 100% rain tomorrow.
I have gone 2 because that is the first one that makes specific mention of the word wet. That was my logic. And I'm still following my new rule, which is if I think something's a good idea, i.e. 1 click to the left is a good idea, then it invariably isn't. So I've gone for 2.
Okay.
Man, this track is brilliant, isn't it? It just flows.
I'm terrible at it though. And I like the track to watch and to deal with. It's never been kind to me in any of my championshipy stuff that I do in sim racing, so I have a love-hate relationship with it.
No, I'm the same. I mean, it's always the same with me. No matter how I do my setup, especially in this game, it just always feels like whichever car I'm in, it doesn't have any straight line speed or acceleration. It seems like I just set up for handling, and on tracks like this, everyone just pulls away massively from me. So yeah, I'm not promising success, I'm just saying I quite enjoy driving it. Incidentally, I'm going to put something to you now. I'm on my 2nd season now of my single player career.
Okay.
And I'm doing alright. I stayed with Williams another year.
Okay.
And I'm now at Monaco, right? Now, there's an interesting problem here because I can just, by the skin of my teeth, qualify in pole.
Oh, wow.
The car is just much better second time round. But it doesn't seem to have the power, or I don't have the skill to really pull out a gap from people. Oh, I've completely buzzed this lap. Anywho, what I find is that I can stay in front into turn 1, but then the cars are usually just bundled up behind me the entire way around. And if I do any damage at all to my front nose, at all, and pit when the race engineer tells me to pit, I come in at the same time as everybody else. But because of where the Williams pit is, as I've mentioned before, they hold you in the pit box for like 10 to 12 seconds, and the cars go out in reverse order.
Yeah.
If I change my pit strategy and come in earlier or later and have damaged my nose in any way, the extra second it takes to change my nose means I come out about third. Also, changing my pit strategy means that on the last lap, the car has no grip at all. I mean, just none. As soon as I even think of touching the power, the back end spins round. So, I'm jinxed. I'm not allowed to win in Monaco. It just isn't allowed to happen. And I put this to people on the Steam forums, and it seems I'm not alone. Quite a few people have said the same thing, that it seems to be impossible for them to sort of get a strategy that works, because presumably they're equally as incompetent as I am and as terrible at the game as I am. But it's nice to know you're not alone, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And that's something with the whole ordering out the pits. Oh, I got that wrong. The whole ordering and coming out of the pits is something that's been a bane of F1 games ever since the very beginning. Because I remember way back on the original F1 on the PlayStation, it was so bad that they would come out and there would be a good like 1.5 second gap between each car as they came out, and it would always come out in reverse order, and you would be doing really well, and you'd pit in the lead, and you'd be in like a sim tech right the way at the bottom of the pit lane, and you would rejoin in 13th position because everyone would pit on the same lap nigh on, and you'd be stuck. And some games are better at it than others, but I've noticed that this one seems to have taken a bit of a step back on that front, because I don't remember it being quite so much of an issue in 2012. Unlike my lines, which were just as much as an issue in 2012. Degna, you kill me every time.
I've had another idea, by the way.
Oh god.
How would you like to see this as a game, right?
Do it.
F1 Rejects the game. All the reject teams from the Rejects website.
Yes.
In one single game, like a Rejects championship.
Oh my god, Bugsy and J Omega.
Pacific.
Oh, I love that livery. Both of them actually. Both the liveries were awesome for that car. Oh, well, you're going to out-qualify me here. I've already got myself a 10 place grid drop.
Do you know what? I was really pleased, but I didn't want to say anything because every time I do, I jinx it. But in Sector 1, I was only 4/10 down on pole. And I thought, ooh, could I actually finish this lap within sort of 1.5 seconds of pole? Alas, it was not to be, but still it was good enough for not last, which is an improvement on, what, the last 3 races?
Yeah.
I'm going to run out of fuel on this lap though, so...
Mix 1.
Yeah, mix 1 it.
Mix 0.
So, so the nub of the matter today, I suppose, is that we actually start to have some real juicy F1 news to talk about. Because I'll be honest, I much prefer talking about real F1 than our incompetent fake F1, but, you know, needs as must. So, I mean, we'll just dive into the biggest thing, which is Big Ron back in charge at McLaren.
Yeah.
Who can honestly say they didn't see that coming?
Well, they've had a dog of a year since he left. And the problem with Martin Whitmarsh is that he has that shit-eating grin that I just don't trust. Those teeth are just a bit too white for my liking.
Well, I can imagine Big Ron giving him sort of like 3 strikes, and like strike 1, building a crap car. Strike 2, signing Sergio Perez against the will of the team. Strike 3, not getting a podium all year. Right, I'm coming back. You know.
Yep. Yeah, I think just rolled that one out in one sentence. Exactly why he's back. Although, especially because I've been watching loads and loads of 90s races on YouTube, loving that. But when I saw a picture of him, I still remember him back in the 90s days. I was like, God, he's changed. But that's just me, probably. He just looks even older and grumpier.
Did you hear about his inspirational speech, though, at the technical centre?
No.
This big sort of Churchillian, "We will win again," you know, shaking the jowls and telling people to expect they're going to be successful again in the near future.
Oh, bless. Do we think that will happen in 2014, though? Or is it more like a gap year for 2015 where everything changes for them again?
I think 2015 will be their year, but I do expect to see them do better next year than this year. But obviously, the real core of this particular issue is who is going to be the most nervous. Like, obviously, it's going to be Martin Whitmarsh, but you're going to have Jenson Button, who was promised a career at McLaren for as long as he wanted it by a guy who is ostensibly no longer in charge. And Kevin Magnussen, who has been hired by, again, someone who is not in charge. I mean, I know on paper Whitmarsh is still team principal, but would you concur that that's likely to change in the next few days? Sorry, but Jean-Eric Verne just braked really hard in front of me, and then accelerated and braked really hard again.
Stupid French. Yeah, I would be worried if I was Jensen. Just because, yes, he fits the McLaren bill of what a driver wants and what a driver can do, but he has to continuously be like that, and his moaniness, I think he needs to be more careful on that, because he had more clout, I think, before Ron returned. I know Ron was there when he was signed, but yeah, I think he may have issues with that. I think if Magnussen was Finnish, he would be alright.
Yeah.
Or better.
Well, I mean, his dad is an interesting character, right? Because he raced McLaren, didn't he? And I heard him described as the most promising yet chaotic driver in F1. Like, apparently the guy was just chronically disorganised, would, go out and party hard. He was not professional material.
Okay.
And that's why it didn't really work out for him. And it seems like he's sort of channeled his energy into making sure his son doesn't make the same mistakes. But I think Kevin's got a much bigger challenge on his hands now than perhaps he would have had if Ron had kept his fingers out of the pie. Would you concur?
Yeah. Jan Magnussen, I think, is the last driver to have raced in F1 who openly smoked. Random thought.
The last of the hairy-chested racing drivers, eh?
Yeah, well, I don't think he was that hairy, but yeah, it was. I always remember that, because I thought, oh, that's one way to please your McLaren sponsor when you made your debut.
Well, yeah, see, now Jenson Button, for me, is the quintessential McLaren driver.
Yeah.
Like you say, he's British, the team is British, he's, on a good day, there is no finer spokesman or ambassador for the sport or the team, in my book. Mm-hmm. He's an incredibly personable guy.
Yeah. He always tops the best liked driver polls.
Exactly. And there's an advantage to McLaren in having him there.
Yes.
From a sponsorship point of view, more than perhaps a driving success point of view. Now, where the problem really comes in for him is that he is approaching the end of his career.
Yeah.
He has very good ties with Honda, but I get the impression that Big Ron in particular will want him out of the picture if Magnussen is in any way competent, and will switch him out for possibly Alonso. What are your thoughts on this?
I think Alonso would not go back to McLaren if there is another driver that has been there first. because that was the whole problem about Hamilton being groomed like a paedophile ring to come up into that's terrible. Up into F1, and so he was never going to have the team his way, and he's had the team in Ferrari his way all the way up until what will be this year. And I really think that Raikkonen will struggle in that environment and lose interest again. That's going to be my oh my god's predictions, because he's a guy that is all about making sure that you have. Oh, I've been allowed DRS. Sorry.
I lost you there for a minute, mate, but you're back. The thing is about Kimi is that he's apolitical normally. You know, as long as you let him get on with it, he doesn't really care about the designation. You know, he'll happily be a number 2 driver in name as long as it doesn't affect what's going on. Oh my god, are we about to have a dry finished qualifying?
Yes, we are.
And I'm on intermediate tyres?
Yes.
What a crock of bollocks.
Oh, and I've just gone off at blooming thingy-me-bob.
How am I slower on this lap? That's phenomenal. Well, I can't get in and get onto some options for a final flying lap, so let's just hope that this lap is the dog's knackers. Oh,
There's
nads.
no grip on these tyres at all. That's the problem with this. I know that the intermediates overheat and so on and so forth, but it seems to be really penalising you for staying out that little bit longer if you need to. And as if the track would dry that back. Ah! There needs to be better wet to dry length, I think.
I'm going to run out of fuel on this lap, and I was in the groove.
Oh no.
Oh well, never mind, I'll take 18th. At least I'm ahead of Bottas. Yeah, I'll turn the fuel mix down and just cruise around. Well, the word on the grapevine, in terms of the news outlets and podcasts and blogs that I follow, is that Honda have some sort of requests of McLaren as their main partner, in that they wanted one big name driver and one prospect for the future. Someone that they could groom as essentially a Honda driver.
Okay.
Now, you could argue Magnussen fits the bill for that, but I can't believe for a second there's not pressure to take a Japanese youngster.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the big name driver, I know they have a relationship with Jenson Button, but I think they were aiming a little bit higher than that. And out of the two of them, I favour Magnussen's chances for 2015 already better than I do Button's. Based on that. And I'd hate to see Jenson bow out at a minnow team. I really would.
Yeah, I think he deserves to go out on a high. Wow.
But you outqualified me again.
And then I dropped back on the old grid penalties, but Vern got a penalty for whatever he did to you. And then Grosjean and Hamilton got penalties for whatever I did to them. So great.
Nice.
Right mixed up grid. Potentially. So yeah, I will be very interested to see. And Adrian Sutil didn't do a lap at all.
The same thing happened to Jev on my career mode, and I posted a screenshot on my Steam because I was like, what's happened here? Has he had an accident, or did he just elect not to run, or is it now simulating, the front wings haven't arrived? Well, we've covered McLaren. Shall we dive into the race?
Yeah, let's do it.
I was thinking perhaps we should cover the reliability issue for next year, right? Because I have some stats to hit you with.
Okay.
What do you reckon the reliability rate of an F1 car across the grid was in the 90s?
Ooh. I'm going to say about 65%.
You're overly generous. The failure rate in F1, so the reliability rate was a mere 52%.
Huh.
across a season. So statistically, a car would fail to finish 50% of its races.
Ah, those were the days. I loved retirements.
The last 3 years, the reliability rate of an F1 car has been 86%.
Crazy. It has
And there
taken
is-
some of the shine off of it, I think.
Yeah. Now, what I wanted to ask you was, some people are saying that they don't want to return to the bad old days of cars exploding on the track. Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Same. For me, half the fun was watching a car go round and thinking, any minute now, that car is going to explode and the wheels are going to fall off, and that's him out of the race. And it created situations like in Australia 2002, where Mark Webber got Minardi into the points on his debut because of the attrition rate in the race. That should be happening more often.
I think so. Especially, poor Chilton must have been bored out of his tears, finishing every single race in nigh on last position. Wouldn't it have been nice to have had a few other retirements so that he still doesn't finish every single race and come home at the end of every day and think, oh, there's still a 2 in front of my name and it's not second, it's 20th.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think that's a shame. I would like to see reliability back. There's lots of figures being quoted around about how bad it's going to be. I think they're grossly overestimating how bad the reliability is going to be because of how much it's all improved over the years anyway.
When are you coming in, Old Spot?
Oh shit, I didn't even look. It doesn't tell me because it's wet.
It does
says,
for me. It said I'm stopping lap 6.
Okay, I think mine was 9. I don't know.
I'll go to 7.
Sorry.
It's quite alright.
I was so busy on my
Please do continue.
horsey soapbox. Yes, no, I'd like to see reliability back. I think they're grossly overestimating it because, just like with most things, they want to then see reliability get controlled by people then bowing in. What I did find really interesting was people like fake Charlie Whiting and Taki Alui, those people that you must go to on all F1 scenarios, saying, well, if reliability is going to be so shit in the first race, why not give double points for that one too? Because this double point scenario is ridiculous. I'm so angry at it still.
It is incredibly ridiculous, you're right.
I'm lap 6, apparently, so it's a good job it didn't change.
Yeah.
6-9, same thing.
Although it's wet, so I'm probably not going to make it to lap 6 in the position that I'm in now, so we probably wouldn't be pitting together anyway.
Just enjoy being in the top 15. Oh my god! All I see is bright lights ahead. It's like Close Encounters. Oh, that's you. Oh!
Yeah.
Okay, the
Sorry.
start is confirmed as wet, so we don't have to use both dry compounds.
I'm just going to hang back and I'll try and sneak in somewhere. It's too wet for me to put the power down. Yeah, you go past. Oh my god! Right, I'm getting my eye in now.
Ooh, Chilton just spanked firm.
That's a straight to DVD release. I've just got a penalty for sliding into the side of Chilton. Well, that's my race done. Shall we go back to the topics?
Okay.
You guys are already 2 corners on because it took me like 10 seconds to counter that spin.
Jim, what do you think on the old reliability front? Do you think they're overcooking it? Do you think it'll be as bad as what they say? And do you think it will be... Well, like, what happens if reliability then causes someone who's led the driver championship the entire season to then go out on the last race because they have to use so much of their stuff for so many different races, and then the person who's been in second all the way along wins, gets double points, and wins by a single point?
Well, if they win by double points, then that's bullshit. But
Yeah.
if they win because of reliability, then that's just F1 because it's always been about the driver and the car.
Uh-huh. Agreed.
And you know, how many drivers have had a competitive car down the years that just couldn't finish a race?
Yep.
The original Renault Turbos, they had a 14% finish rate.
Yeah, those cars were terrible.
And, you know, that's just the nature of it. My God, I can't believe I'm 8 seconds behind Chilton.
Bow your head now.
I'm weeping. Now, the other factor is, yeah, they are overcooking the reliability argument, because teams now, when they're building a gearbox or when engine manufacturers are building an engine, they can assess the quality of the metal to such a degree that they didn't used to do before. I mean, like now, they can find, does that metal have any imperfection in it at all? Right, we won't use it. Previously, there was always a risk that there was, you know, some fragility in the engine block that they hadn't accounted for, and that would just give out, and that was the nature of F1.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go back to those days of, I hate to say glory days, because I know being nostalgic is not really being fair to modern F1, but the days where someone would crash a car, then run back to the pits, and there would be a spare car. Like, the teams had that much money, they would build 4 chassis in a year. Mm-hmm. And, you know, oh well, never mind if he crashes the car, Marlboro have paid for an extra car, so...
Thank you, Andrea de Cesaris, for crashing out a game.
Yeah. You know, and, you know, you had teams that, you know, would say, we... You know, if a car spins, then, you know, that's extra TV airtime for the logo on the side of the car.
Definitely. It doesn't matter how you get on the TV, you just need to get on there.
Exactly. I mean, like, Ken Tyrrell had a rule where his drivers were not allowed to move out of the way of lapping cars.
Mm.
He said, you do not let them straight through, you've got to hold them up.
Okay.
Now, other news... they've opened the tender process for a new F1 team.
Yes, and there's been some interesting people applying, hasn't there?
Yeah, which honestly I'm surprised about. But I've heard of 3 bids so far. One is Colin Collis,
yeah, with his let's try another go.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Spiker
he's
Midland.
rubbish, but at least he's experienced.
Yeah, Spiker Midland.
HRT for a bit, wasn't
HRT, yeah.
The other one was Stefan GP, which, if there is any justice in the world, should be the one that gets the grid slot.
How many times have they tried?
I know, and the thing is like, they didn't just, like, how on earth did US F1 get permission to be on that grid despite having almost zero motorsport experience? This guy owns a helicopter manufacturer, is building a specific racetrack, had a technical centre already set up, had a working car, gearbox and engine, had drivers signed, and shipped everything to the first race.
Yeah. I mean, how but is that where the money is? Do you know what I mean?
It shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter. It should be who can compete, who is a legitimate competitor.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think you already know my feelings on the third applicant, which is Haas Racing,
Yeah.
who are a NASCAR team. Now,
With pedigree in it, though, it must be said.
yeah, no, it is a reputable NASCAR team, but NASCAR is a million light years away from F1. Millions of, you know. I don't want to disparage the team, and I know they have a very superb wind tunnel facility that F1 teams actually pay good money to use. But the fact is that stock car racing is arguably about as far as it's possible to get from Formula One.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, do they still do an IndyCar team? Because they used to be the Newman House, didn't they?
That was a different Haas.
Oh, okay.
I thought that as well, but they are not. They're not even related. The IndyCar was someone completely different, and that team folded.
Okay. I was going to say, because I've got their PlayStation 1 F1 game, which is actually not bad.
I'm right on the back of Chilton.
Hey,
My goal now is not to finish last.
do it.
So, like I said, I don't mean to disparage them. They've got some very talented people there, I have no doubt. But I can't believe an American F1 team will want to be there just to make up the numbers, and that is, without a doubt, what they will be doing.
Yeah, because Americans probably are the most we must win. You don't have Honda, I suppose, would be very much like that as well. But you don't have the it's not too bad to finish second. It's always the we must win, and as soon as they don't, I give it 3 years, and then they'll be like, what the hell are we doing here? Let's go back.
You know, there just isn't the viewer numbers in America for F1 for whatever reason, and you know, they've got a lot of high quality sports entertainment to choose from, so
Yes.
that's fine. You know, if you weren't brought up with F1, I think it's quite a hard sport to get into later in life. And they've done a very good job at making oval racing, which on paper should be mind-numbingly dull, very entertaining to large crowds. So, you know, well done there, but... And I don't want to sound for a second like a European elitist, because I'm not. I genuinely believe that at some point there should be an American F1 team, and there should be, without any shadow of a doubt, an Asian F1 team, a truly Asian F1 team.
Yes.
Not one just with a Malaysian owner, but I mean, one that is most likely going to be based in either Japan or China. Because, you know, especially Japan, they're very passionate about F1 and they've got the technical capacity.
Superb Curry.
Yeah, but hopefully Formula E works out for them and they can make a comeback from there. But I know that against all better judgment, and I'm willing to put money on it right now, that the team that wins this tender process will be, without any shadow of a doubt, Haas.
Yeah.
Purely on the basis that it's an American team. Because look how long they've put up with all the nonsense from US F1 and all the complete nonsense from the New Jersey Grand Prix.
Oh yeah, it'll be there next. No, it won't. It really won't. Yeah, I mean they've already got one circuit of the Americas, and that is a great, fine, magnificent circuit. We'll be butchering it in a later race this season, and that is fine. You don't need two. And yeah, it just no. Stop trying to chase the money that you have tried to conquer for such a long time. You need to let it flow naturally. And you know what? If they bring in an American team, they will bring with them an American driver. And I can't think of an American driver that would want to come over either off the top of my head.
Alexander Rossi.
Oh, crumbs, yes. I forget that he's American because of his Italian-sounding name. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. But, and you know, he's a very promising driver. I would love to see him in F1. Absolutely. But I just think it makes no sense from a sustainability point of view to bring in an American team at this point.
Penalty, and now I'm spinning round, and now I've caused an issue.
Yeah, I see your wing. Because incidentally, he said that we've got plenty of facilities and technical staff, but we're going to enlist Dallara to build our cars. No.
That was the whole problem with HRT.
Yeah, just remind me, Simon, how does it go when you have a customer car?
Badly.
Badly, yeah, that's the one. Badly. So, you know, it's not even an American team, it's an Italian team.
Yeah.
It's an incompetent Italian team because Dallara are rubbish.
Yeah. And they never reached dizzy heights when they were their own F1 team either. They even painted the cars as a Ferrari, just like as a tip of the hat to say, soz everyone, we're just slightly more shitter than they are. Never quite understood why Dallara did that. But no, terrible. I really hope it doesn't happen. We all know it will.
How does Grosjean end up down here in 19th?
Oh, we had a grid penalty and he got stuck behind Bianchi. And I may have hit him a little bit.
Which may have helped things along a little.
Smidge. Oh, it's horrid, horrid.
My tyres are completely short. I don't know if I'm going to make it round this lap successfully.
Uh-oh. But look at you in 16th.
So, I genuinely believe they'll get it. What I don't understand is where they're going to get American sponsorship from.
Yeah.
Because I really can't see the incentive for any American company to be involved in F1. And if I'm not mistaken, not a single one is involved at this moment.
Verizon doesn't sponsor McLaren still, do they?
Well, Vodafone, I think Vodafone owns Verizon.
Yeah.
And they put the Verizon logo on when they're racing in America. But it is
Okay.
a British company sponsoring a British team. And it's just market-specific advertising.
Okay. No, I can't think of much.
CNN. Sponsor us.
Oh yeah, so they do.
Or they did, I don't know if they still do. And is Dell American? I always thought they were British.
I thought Dell was Nordic.
Oh.
I thought they were like Swedishy type thing, because when I ordered from Dell, my PC or laptop from years ago came from that region of the world.
Maybe they are. I've got no grip at all. Bianchi is pulling away from me. I've dropped down to 18. I need to pit. So I just don't see the incentive to be there. I don't think a stock car team, with all the greatest of respect to them, has the technical capacity to compete in F1 convincingly. And I don't think investors are going to have the patience needed to establish something like that for such a small viewership. Colin Coles, I could handle them letting him back into F1 because at least he's got some experience.
Yeah.
But if there's any justice in the world, it should go to Stefan GP.
Do you remember Phoenix GP when they tried to buy up the old Prost team?
Yes, and it just seems that
Rad.
Bernie and the FIA are willing to bend the rules when it suits them, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to save Prost, so they didn't, right? Because he said, oh, you can't buy an entry like that, and they did the same with Stefan GP. But when Minardi was in danger of going under, he spent 3 weeks convincing Dietrich to buy them as a second team.
Yeah.
So, you know, why is that? Why was Red Bull able to buy an entry? Or why was Jaguar able to buy an entry? Why was Braun able to buy an entry?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God.
I think it's an absolute travesty that there is not a French F1 team on the grid.
Yeah, considering all the heritage and history that you've got of it, it would have been nice to have had happen. Especially with like it being Prost, and he actually ran it, as opposed to it being a namesake.
Well, to be fair, like the team went under because of the owner. It's the same with Jordan. Eddie Jordan made a big financial mistake in court, and that finished his team off.
Yeah.
Because people forget that, you know, the financial situation these days is bad for F1, but I mean, in those days, all it took was one minor foot out of place, and your team was bankrupt.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe Prost did deservedly go under, but someone could have facilitated a buyout of that team and kept it as a going concern, and the FIA just chose not to. And we all know that secretly they want a 10-team grid maximum. So the only reason I can think of as to why they've opened the tender process is they suspect at least one team is very, very soon going to drop out.
I think they must cover their thing with Lotus because of the amount of debt that they owe themselves. If you saw, I was tweeting about it, where they owe £113 million to themselves, which I don't quite get. And then there's about another 30 million that they owe to other people. As you do.
Well, I mean, because what it is the team owners injected 130 million above the cost of purchasing and budget for the team, which means that money has to be given back because it's technically a debt. because like your personal finances remain separate from those of your business. Every time I come close to taking over Max Chilton, the car runs wide and I go off into the gravel and he pulls out 2 seconds and I close it again and then I'm wide again.
Well, we're often told that we should raise the difficulty level because the caterums are so terrible. I think we've done quite well to show our place here today. 19th, and are you 21st?
Yep.
So you've got Vern still behind you, Cole.
Vern is creeping round. I wonder if he's had another accident. Looks like he's lost a wing or something.
Jev. Taki Inui was saying about how he fancies Toro Rosso for doing really well this year. Don't know why.
Actually, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Is that because they steal last year's bits and bobs?
I think that's part of it, but also they're a team that have always had, even from the Minardi days, a very talented group of people in there, and there's just untapped potential, and it's just about raising the money. But I believe Cepsa have significantly upped their investment in the team, and they've got quite a lot of money to throw around, and money is what matters in F1, always is, you know. I wouldn't be surprised though to see Caterham come out on top of Marussia.
Yeah.
And I believe the team that's going to make the biggest jump forward will be either, well, I say either, like there's only two. It is going to be either Williams, Force India, or Sauber. It's going to be one of those three big midfield teams. I think we're going to see Lotus go backwards.
Definitely.
Caterham to leapfrog Marussia again, but still be at the back of the midfield teams.
Yeah.
I think McLaren will probably return to being semi-competitive. And I think they might even outdo Ferrari, because I believe they're having some serious problems with their engine. And I think, if I had to lay money down now, champions next year will be Mercedes. I don't think Red Bull are going to adapt as well as they might hope.
Okay. Heard it here first, folks. I agree. I think it's going to be Williams that will do the big step forward, because they kind of saw how terrible their car was this year, and I think they've spent a lot of time focusing on next year and going back to basics. And it was only when their car went back to basics right at the very end of this year that suddenly Bottas was able to do quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, because what was it? I laughed when I read that story. He said, "Oh well, we were competitive because we took off the exhaust blown diffuser that we spent all year trying to perfect."
Yeah.
And it's like all that money they must have spent developing that component, and then the car's faster when they take it off. That's just something I love about Formula One.
Yeah. What in theory should work sometimes just really doesn't.
Oh, incidentally, my big rant about Formula One management games, I have received a message via my Steam account from someone. I'm sorry, I forget your name. I haven't even written you back yet. But he's in the process of building a Grand Prix management game.
Oh wow.
Phenomenally clean overtake of Chilton. That's not like me. And he's asked for input, and there's a work in progress video on YouTube that I will send to you, Simon.
Okay.
And perhaps we can share with the audience at large.
Yeah, I'll pop if it's alright, we'll pop a link in the description.
Yeah, I'll make sure we get his permission first of all, obviously. But he's got the ability to sort of code the racing element.
Oh wow.
So that's what's working. What you can see is some placeholder cars going around the track and spinning out and things like that. But you know, from the graphics point of view, he needs assistance. So if there's anyone listening who would like to get involved in something like that, you know, if you've got the skills, as it were, then please do pop a comment below, and I will be sure to forward across the names of anyone who might be able to help, because, you know, while the work in progress that I've seen is perhaps not how I would personally have done the race design, I think there's definite promise there, and I'd love to see one of these projects actually work.
Yeah.
I desperately would.
Oh, it's so good to know that someone out there is having a go. That's amazing. Yes, well, I look forward to that. What else was I going to say something? I'll tell you what else is worthwhile for that person to know is I'll be starting a trip through the gravel, and then after that I'll be going for a development series, because I've had quite a few people contact me with their indie games saying we'd really appreciate some like live feedback in a video just to see how you play it and what you do. If he's interested in that, we can have a go at that and have a go doing it.
So, a last lap change of subject, if it's quite all right, Simon.
Yeah. Is it Bernie related?
I'm afraid not. We will
Okay.
probably cover that next time out, because there's so much I want to say on that a lap just isn't enough. But how have I caught you up?
I've been busy gravelling,
Ah, okay.
and I've got one lap less of tire than you.
Oh, delightful.
I think I have.
So, we were talking 2 or 3 rounds back that the YouTube copyright infringement strike me doodars.
Oh yeah.
Now, I'm a subscriber to Joe Vargas's channel. That's the Angry Joe Show.
Yes, he was the guy that talked a lot of sense.
Yes, it does talk a lot of sense. I don't know if you saw the video he posted yesterday, which was January 18th.
No.
It was quite an emotional one, actually. I genuinely got the impression that this guy fears for his livelihood. Now, he's put up very kindly sort of a list of companies who are being helpful in this process, and companies that are determined to enforce their claims. And he spoke quite eloquently, given the heightened emotion of the problem with the appeals process, which is YouTube advises that you appeal a maximum of 3 at once, but he said if you do, and all 3 get rejected by the
You're out.
right holder.
Yeah. Oh, are you doing it?
No, you've got the legs on me on this one.
No, I've had a wiggle.
We're on the same team.
Ah!
Got some wheel-to-wheel racing going on.
Oh, you've done it. I think I've burned.
I hope I kept it clean there, Simon.
Yeah, you did.
This will probably be the most entertaining segment of the entire series.
It is. Well done, mate. Go on!
Do I have any extra fuel? No, I'm optimal. Bugger.
Ah! Oh, I forgot.
Has Vern got you as well?
Oh shit! Let me piss off Vern. Okay, done. You deserved that one. That was me being twattish. Oh, and I've lost curve.
Oh, delightful.
Oh,
I get knocked down to 21st though on my 10-second penalty, so we finished dead last.
we did good. We did good. And your fastest lap was better than mine.
That can't be right. That can't possibly be right.
Yeah. And 2.4 seconds better than the old Max Apu.
Well, I actually had quite good fun in that race, considering.
Yeah.
So yeah, just finishing the topic. He's listed which companies are helpful, which ones aren't. YouTube say claim 3 at once. Now he makes a good point that if you claim all 3 and all 3 get rejected, then your account gets disabled straight away, because each copyright strike, 3 strikes and you're out. His entire channel will be deleted. So he's sort of got one hand tied behind his back in that he can only claim 2 at once.
Yeah.
Now, this is still a very sensitive subject, but I'd just like to say I really hope things work out for him. It's kind of still a weird thing for me, because I'm aware that relying on a system like this for your entire livelihood is a bit reckless, perhaps, and that the one he's struggling with most is Ministry of Sound UK, because he has blatantly used one of their tracks, admittedly only 30 or so seconds of it, and to soundtrack a part of his video, which he didn't have permission to do.
Okay.
He feels that's not a legitimate claim. I'm not sure I can agree with him on that, because it wasn't a game soundtrack. It's not like it was an unavoidable part of doing the review.
Sure.
It was a conscious decision, and there's a few cases like that. I really hope his channel scrapes through, but there is every chance that looking at his claims page that he was showing everyone and the nature of the claims, if he's determined to appeal all this stuff, I'm concerned that it's going to ending badly for him. But yeah, just wanted to send a message out. I know he doesn't watch and he probably never will, but I'd just like to say that I really do hope that works out for him, because it can be incredibly scary to lose your livelihood. Very, very scary. And whether I necessarily believe it's an appropriate livelihood, a way of making your livelihood, or appropriately safe at least, I do hope that works out for him. Yeah,
it's a weird one. I know we talked about this before, whether or not it's a real livelihood and so on and so forth. I've personally not been affected by any of this at all, but that is purely because I deleted all of the stuff before I monetized the channel to make sure that everything was legal, essentially. So it was every single game trailer every single I'd done a couple of like Dance Dance Revolution things where it's using licensed tracks, and I thought that's going to cause an issue. Initially I was hounded by FOM, because when I done AI playthroughs of old F1 games, they copyrighted me saying that I was using they didn't actually say what it was, but what I realised was at the beginning of each AI race that we was doing on F1 2002, I think it was, it comes up with that old logo. Remember where it goes down, 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 down,
yeah.
Down, down. Although I quite like the new one now, but that brings it back. It was that they protested, and what I had to do was go back and use the YouTube editor and chop that off of every single video and start it from the point where we'd done the formation map, and then they removed the claim. It was really weird, and I thought, what a strange thing to go round saying, how dare you on.
Yeah, I know, but I guess it's probably playing devil's advocate for a second. I guess the problem is with using any company's logo is that it could be construed as an endorsement of the content, and if you happen to be one of the many YouTube racists that are about, which obviously I know you're not, but you could be ranting on about how all immigrants should be shot and rounded up into camps, and if you start
by FOM.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, if anyone watching does have their own channel, please, for the love of God, just be careful. You can still make content, you can still monetize stuff, but just think and just trim out anything that you think could be a problem. I know it's an irritation, but I'd really hate to see anyone suffer unnecessarily.
Just always ask the question, is it yours?
Yeah.
If it's not, which is why whenever I do music games now on here, I have to use my own albums and my own music, which I know people go, you should do one on dubstep, and I think, oh, I can't, which is a shame, because it means that I can't fully display games. But
well, actually, mate, not to call you out on your own channel,
you've got free stuff that you can get, obviously, that's right.
Yeah, there's some royalty-free websites that you pay a subscription to, like a one-off fee or something, to get membership, and there's a few things on there. I mean, I know it's not very good and probably not what people really want to listen to, but needs as must, as we say. The
issue was that Angry Joe was getting copyrighted back for those as well.
Was he?
Yes, and then he had to go through. Thankfully, the company was like, we don't quite get why, because it was someone doing it on their behalf, but he had to sort them out. But yeah, it's issues.
I have one final question for you on this, Simon, as someone who manages a channel themselves. When you upload a video, is Content ID two-way? Can you have them scan your video for content before you upload it?
No. But normally Content ID will ping through in about a minute after you've finished uploading. It's not very. It's very rarely because it's so automated. It just goes through and scans your sound, and if it thinks that sounds like the algorithm of the wave for that song, it will just ping it. And sometimes it's not, but because it's got the same beat and the same sound, it goes, "You've copyrighted that song," and then you'll be like, "Really? Have I? I made that myself." And then you have to argue the case.
It's a very messy process, but I know it has to be automated, really, given the scale of things.
Sure.
Bit crazy, but not a bad race for 2 last positions.
No, that was entertaining, and hats off to you for whooping my booty.
Yeah, I'm now
10-5.
You've got a 50% difference between us now. I've outraced you 5 to 10.
Yeah. Cool. Join us again, I think. Where
Yeah,
we'll do some more musings. Take it easy.